The hype and disappointment of Cyberpunk 2077. I think it's a good itch to scratch if you like Deus Ex as well. I'm Rio Gion and welcome to the channel. Well, if you like Deus Ex and you don't mind doing a little driving, and by that I mean a lot of driving, then I think Cyberpunk is a good way to scratch that itch. So with Cyberpunk, you have the option to do stealth or action similar to Deus Ex, but to be honest, the stealth on Deus Ex is better than Cyberpunk because from memory, I think the AI from Deus Ex reacts better than Cyberpunk. Then again, for Cyberpunk, you are paying the $60 to beta test the game as the developers are working to make the game better as they plan to release more content and fix the giant amount of bugs and glitches. I think Deus Ex, and by that I'm referring to Human Revelation and Mankind Divided. I haven't played the first one or Invisible War yet, and I have them on my list, which is near endless lists of games, similar to my endless anime list. It's a blessing and a curse, but obviously we're not here to talk about lists. Another similar feature is the augmentation. Both gives you the ability to change your body and put mods where you can double jump or have that sweet Icarus system to save you from fall damage. Although I don't remember if Cyberpunk has that mod. Personally, I think Cyberpunk would have been interesting if they were to do something in third person similar to The Witcher, but since they don't have a cover system similar to Deus Ex, I think it's probably where people don't draw similarities. Then again, I guess you can say Cyberpunk can be compared to any other Cyberpunk theme game, hence the name. I don't know where I'm going with that, but there it is and here we are. Besides the stuff that makes me think is similar to Deus Ex, my overall experience with the game was enjoyable. This is definitely one of those games where I see myself going back to after I finish due to like different endings, and it's one of those games where I feel like you have to at least play twice to get most out of the game. In terms of the hype and disappointment, I wasn't really one of those people that are hyped for the game. Like when I see the review trailer and the gameplay, I admit I did look forward to the game, but I knew it wasn't gonna change the gaming industry forever or be the next masterpiece because of past experiences. I'm not sure if you guys knew about this, but I was actually pretty hyped for Duke Nukem Forever due to the trailer is released in the year 2000 or was it 2001, but the gameplay looks great. It only took them until 2011 to release the game, and I knew the game was in development hell plus cancellations, then Gearbox picked it up, so I wanted the game to be great, but it was good. So after it kind of left a bad taste, and from there on I wasn't really hyped for games anymore. The interesting thing to find out was that the game wasn't really worked on until 2016, so it kind of makes you think, what did CD Projekt Red do during the gap? So I did a little bit of research and I find out that the answer was The Witcher 3 and their DLCs, or rather should I say expansions, because it was really expansions. Used to love those back in the old PC days. With 4 years of development time, I think this is probably as good as the game is gonna get during release date. I watched lots of videos of people reviewing the game, telling me what a disappointment it was, and I do agree, but I also think it was the hype and the lies that really let people down. Honestly, I think CD Projekt Red should not have overpromised and underdeliver. Then again, they did it only to boost marketing material because they want the game to sell so that they can get profit for it. After all, this is a business. From the business side, it really makes sense because you want to make as much money as possible from the product that you're developing. The only problem with this is when you overpromise and underdeliver, you lose the most important aspect of business, consumer confidence. Back then, because The Witcher 3 was such a great, good game with delivering expansions instead of DLCs for DLC money, so they sort of underpromise and over-deliver, which is the best case scenario for consumer confidence. When you buy a DLC from CD Projekt, you are buying actual expansion, which is a large amount of extra content that is well deserving of the title expansion. To those back in the old PC days should know. For those that don't, From my understanding, the expansion versus a DLC is that the expansion delivers an entire story arc or second world to current content from original game. On the other hand, a DLC adds something like an extra episode or an extra chapter to the story arc rather than a whole other story arc. Not sure if that makes sense, but probably the best way that I can explain it. The good thing about people buying Cyberpunk is that CD Projekt Red promises the same level of delivery as they did with The Witcher, and they made a video saying they're sorry for what they did and they promised to give us free content and updates and make the game more optimized. From my perspective, I bought the PC version because I don't have consoles like PS4 or Xbox, so I just happened to get the best version of the game with the 1.1 update. I see bugs and glitches, but they're pretty minor, like the elevator glitch, and there's that like guy that glides out of the restaurant when talking to Takemura. There's over talking, like I would be talking to someone, the phone rings, someone else talk at the same time. Like these are minor in comparison to when the game was first released, so it did impact my experience, but it wasn't as bad as others that bought the game at launch. The thing about me is that I don't pre-order games and I don't usually buy games at launch because I've been through many console generations. To give you perspective, I was there during the Sega Genesis all the way up until now, so I understand that games now aren't up to the level of quality as they were before. Up to the PS2 era, when a game launched, it was it. If the game is buggy, it is what it is. So the developers have to make sure the game passed quality control if they want the game to sell well. Now, we're in a very different era. Games now are released as beta versions for the consumers first, let the early adopters take the hit, and then sell it to the masses once the game finished, repackaged as a Game of the Year edition, included the base game and all of the DLC with the game. So, this is not a bad business idea because you're selling the game twice, so you're getting twice the money for the game. On the other hand, you're screwing the early adopters, which are people that are going to be the most vocal because they believe in you during launch day. I'm pretty self-aware when it comes to these kind of games, so I often wait for a review, see if the version is good enough for my liking before making the purchase. My reasoning for purchasing the game from version 1.1 was the reduced price, the promise of free DLC make up for such a terrible launch. I believe my timing is decent because there's a part of me that do want to play the game and not wait any longer, so I pulled the trigger at what I believe to be the right time. For those watching in the future and you have the complete version with all the DLCs, good for you. If you are an early adopter, then I'm sorry for your terrible experience, especially if you have PS4 and Xbox One. If you're new, click subscribe, like, thumbs up, click the bell for more content. You guys stay awesome.